I'm gonna get my family into that bunker.
Hi, this is Matt's Rundown. Enjoy watching movies as much as we do? Subscribe and hit the like button down below. Today we'll be having a look at Greenland. It's the newest 2020 disaster movie. It has a PG rating of 13.
Greenland is directed by Waugh. The film stars Gerard Butler in the lead role as John Garrity. His wife Alison Garrity is portrayed by Morena Baccarin. Roger Dale Floyd plays their son Nathan Garrity. The film was released in Germany in June. It was released in South Africa now, and it's coming to premium VOD on the 18th of December.
As far as the plot goes, the movie centers around the Gerard family and how they, as a family, try and survive a planet-killing comet, as well as the dangers that they face on their journey to safety.
So let's start with what was good about the movie.
So what I really like about Greenland is the fact that it is very much family focused. A lot of these disaster movies focus on the government or scientists or the army and how they try and actually stop the impending doom. But this is rather focused on a much smaller scale. They're looking at the family and the family's experiences during their journey for survival. So I feel like this family-orientated view really suits Gerard Butler, because a lot of the movies he does is very much family focused. So I feel like he did a really good job because it's the kind of role he seems to really enjoy doing.
Gerard Butler had a solid performance. He's very good at these type of roles. It really plays towards his strengths. Baccarin, she was fantastic. There's not much more you can say about her performance. And young Floyd was fantastic he didn't overplay his role and he didn't underplay his role. He did spot on, in my opinion.
As character Nathan, he really gave a little bit of that lackluster feeling that I felt his character demanded for the particular role he was playing. We'll obviously speak a little bit more about that and elaborate when we go into our spoiler review. But just overall, he did a really good job, and I felt he was very true to the character he was playing. Throughout the movie, there were a lot of images of social breakdown, which, although some may criticize because they may sometimes portray the typical tropes you expect in a disaster movie, I still felt like they were done really well, because it really did show you the best and the worst that comes out in people when people are really stressed out, when there's disaster coming up, and at the end of the day, people actually don't know how to handle such a situation because we've never been through something like that. So I wouldn't necessarily say that anyone who did something that maybe we would disagree with in the movie was evil or bad. It's just sometimes certain situations can bring out the worst in people.
It was definitely one of the movie's strengths. The juxtaposition between the best and worst of people was clear throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. It was really a theme that carried through, and it was done very well. It's definitely a pity that this movie is not going to be seen on the big screen everywhere. The special effects, the comets, it was very, very impressive. They did a great job with some of the special effects. The general cinematography was quite well done. These movies can often over-rely on shaky cam. Of course, there has to be instances of shaky cam in these type of movies, but there wasn't an over-reliance on this scene shaky, this scene shaky, this scene shaky. It was used properly in the right areas.
Very sparingly, because William obviously gets a little bit nauseous during these kind of scenes. So it was quite nice that we didn't have to worry about him needing to leave the cinema because it was just a little too shaky.
I found the lighting to be really effective as well. It set the mood for many of the scenes and it carried through the movie very well. Also, the score was very effective in creating a sense of tension throughout the movie from start to finish. It almost directed you how to feel, which was great.
I was literally on the edge of my seat for a lot of the movie, and I think not only did the score really do that, but from the very first scene, there's this sense of impatience or a need to get somewhere very fast that already starts setting you up for the mood for the rest of the movie.
So we'll definitely go more into detail for the score, cinematography, the lighting. That will be all included in the spoiler review. I think one of the challenges the movie had was getting significant exposition in without constantly breaking the flow. if you look at like Roland Emmerich's movies, you have the scientists to explain everything to you. So they deliver the exposition quite well. In this movie, we didn't have the scientists telling us what's happening, how things are going. So they used the news to provide this exposition. It was very effective. It fell within the flow of the movie. It kept the pace going. Like proper kudos to the exposition throughout the movie.
Yeah, I definitely felt that the exposition enabled you to remain within the fantasy of the movie, and it didn't make you feel like you were being preached to, or that they had to set aside specific moments to explain to the audience what was happening. So it definitely kept me more involved, and that worked very well with the tone of the movie, because I didn't, sit back and say, oh, okay, now they're explaining what's going on. I was still on the edge of my seat because they kept that throughout.
That brings us to the bad of the movie. It was very singular paced, in my opinion. There was this constant sense of urgency, but it was just urgency. They did try and slow it down with one or two scenes, but even those scenes it was urgent to get to the next scene almost, to get away from the slowing down. So doing that took a lot away from the character development, I feel. It also possibly why some people might not like the main characters or might not create a connection with the main characters.
Yeah, throughout the movie there was a lot going on with the characters. There wasn't a lot of time for character development though. Even though I felt that the characters were likable enough, I'm not necessarily sure that was the aim of the movie, was to really get you to like the characters. They did at times try and bring in those scenes where you try to understand the character, but that was done within this fast pace, this pace of urgency that was taking place. For me personally, it was fine. I loved it. I didn't mind the sense of urgency. I think maybe there was one scene where I would have liked a little bit of respite, as William had said. But in general, I still thought it was great. And I still thought there was enough character development for me, personally. But I know for some people there may not have been, and I fully understand why some people might not really like the characters.
Only other real complaints I have with it is sometimes the fire didn't look like fire, it looked like CGI fire, which breaks the suspension of disbelief for me. It brings you a bit more back into reality and know this is just a movie.
For me, it wasn't a problem at all. I think I was a lot more focused on the family dynamics and what the family was doing and what kind of experiences they were having, for me to really pay that much attention to the graphics. Yes, there were amazing scenes, that you expect a typical disaster movie to have. But for me, I don't think it bothered me as much as what it bothered William, so I was quite okay with it. I think just to sum up, for me, this movie was really good. I enjoyed it. Dare I say that these kind of disaster movies are really a guilty pleasure for me. It's something that I will watch over and over again and probably love every single time. I think one of my favorite disaster movies is The Day After Tomorrow, and I've seen it so many times. I just enjoy that pace that they have and the sense of reflecting on who you are, your life, where you're going, and what matters in the moment. So in total, I would probably give it definitely a good 7 out of 10.
For me, the movie was enjoyable. It was lots of fun. It was, even though it's from a different perspective, it was a disaster movie. So it was good. It was worth seeing on the big screen. And would I watch it again? I will probably be forced to, but yeah, a good 6 out of 10.
So in general, I think that we do recommend watching the movie,
Definitely.
even if you can't watch it on big screen. Like William said right in the beginning, the big screen rocks. I'm so glad we went to watch it on big screen. But if you can't, I still think it's worth watching. The perspective and the family focus was different enough for me to make it something really interesting. And so overall, our rating would be a 6.5.
We'll be posting our spoiler full review on the 18th of December when the movie comes out.
Yeah, because I really want to make sure that you guys don't watch the spoiler full review before actually watching the movie. It was really fun. But that's all for today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching.
Later.
Goodbye.